Patrick Mahomes jumped in this fight to break it up. Could you imagine if Patrick Mahomes gets hurt after the game breaking up a fight because you punched one of his teammates? That is.
Here we go, Chiefs Kingdom. Deep breath in, because what we just witnessed was more than a win. It was a reset of the entire conversation around this team, from the tunnel to the handshake line. And yeah, we'll talk about that explosion. Kansas City didn't just take care of business, they reminded the league who sets the standard. This is Chiefs Kingdom Report, and tonight we talk about pulse, presence, pride, and the power of playing 4 quarters of uncompromising football. It started with tension you could feel through the screen. Detroit came in hot, chest out, riding the best offense in football narrative. They tried to make it a clock control grind, opening with a long, suffocating march. But here's the twist. Kansas City bent, then snapped back, then started to hunt. The Lions' early dominance in time of possession didn't matter when the Chiefs began punching back with precision. By the final whistle, it was Kansas City 30, Detroit 17. And that number isn't just a score, it's a statement of identity rediscovered. Patrick Mahomes conducted this game like a symphony. Calm hands, calm eyes, cutthroat decisions. 22 completions on 30 throws, 257 yards, 3 touchdown passes, and a 4th score on the ground. Those are the bones of a complete offensive performance, the kind you pull out when you're done being doubted. And somewhere between the first quarter and the final kneel down, Mahomes crossed another threshold. Fastest in NFL history to 300 career touchdown passes. That is the kind of benchmark that recenters a franchise narrative and rattles every scouting department that hoped the magic had dimmed. Don't let the box score blur who did the dirty work. Hollywood Brown didn't just catch footballs, he created oxygen. He was having a night, and when he's in that mood, defensive backs start backpedaling before the snap even hits the quarterback's hands. Xavier Worthy hit on the money ball. Yes, the milestone strike, and the route timing looked crisper than it has in weeks. The ball went where it needed to go, when it needed to get there, because the quarterback and his weapons trusted their spots. That rhythm is what we've been begging to see. It showed up when it mattered. And let's talk about Travis Kelce. 36 years old, still gnawing at the middle of a defense like it owes him rent. He caught tough ones, took hits, kept chains moving. There was noise about a disputed grab. Welcome to football in 2025. But when the dust settled, the impact remained. 6 catches, chunk plays, leadership. The energy he brings into the huddle still moves people. When he points, guys go. When he nods, guys believe. That matters in October when seasons can wobble. Flip it to defense and give Steve Spagnuolo's group their flowers. They came into this week with public bruises and private anger. They needed backbone. They delivered. You saw discipline where there had been sloppiness. You saw rush integrity where there had been leaks. You saw a coordinated squeeze that forced the Lions into 4th down moments and mid-game stalls. 1 sack in the book is just ink. The real story was leverage winning over time and coverage marrying rush at key downs. No penalties for Kansas City while Detroit blinked 4 times? That's culture. That's coaching. That's a locker room deciding to police itself. Special teams didn't come to watch either. A field-flipping return in the 4th quarter felt like a body blow, tilted the field, and allowed the offense to step on a throat. In games like this, where hype meets habit, hidden yards are not hidden to teams that know how to win. Kansas City cashed them in. Now let's not pretend the night ended with handshakes and exchanged jerseys. It ended with a spark, a shove, a swing. Brian Branch refusing Mahomes' high five, then striking Juju Smith-Schuster and igniting a scrum that spilled into headlines. In the post-game, both head coaches spoke plainly. Unacceptable, inexcusable. Branch himself called it childish. And somewhere in that chaos, your franchise quarterback, your oxygen, your heartbeat, stepped into the storm to break it up. That image matters. The league is reviewing, the takes are flying, but inside the kingdom, the takeaway is simple. Our leader tried to de-escalate when someone else lost control. That's class. That's captain. That's culture. You want the emotional center of the whole night? It's the moment the analyst said, "Could you imagine if Patrick Mahomes gets hurt breaking up a fight?" That's the sentence that stops time in Kansas City households, that turns cheers into a held breath, because that's the line between a statement win and a season-altering disaster. And he did it anyway, because he's built for responsibility. That is the kind of leadership that lives in highlight reels and behind meeting room doors. Now zoom out and look at the season arc. It's been choppy. There were weeks where the offense felt like it was playing through mud, where the defense was one misfit away from a leak. But this win has context. It ties the record back to even, stakes the claim that the pulse is back, and says out loud that the AFC West is not handing anything to anyone. The runway from here, it matters. The Raiders loom, and October football has a way of whispering what January will scream. Here's a nugget that should make your chest push forward. Reinforcements are on the way. Rashee Rice has served his time. Suspension done, rehab done, paperwork signed. He's eligible to return to practice and begin the climb back into game day shape. Think about the geometry of this offense when you add Rice's slant and stab explosiveness next to Hollywood's top-shelf speed, Worthy's acceleration phase, and Kelce's option route doctorate. Spacing changes. Coverages declare. Mahomes gets answers sooner. That's not just depth, it's an identity upgrade. You can also circle something more intangible: composure. The Chiefs took early body shots, 10-minute drives, crowd swings, fourth down chess. They didn't stray. That's playoff muscle memory reactivating. You don't teach that in October, you recall it. And watching the sideline last night, you could feel the temperature. Less panic, more process. Get the call in, get the split right, win the down. That is the quiet voice that wins divisions. Let's get into some defining moments that frame the night. The milestone toss to Xavier Worthy. 6 yards, quick gut, history made. It's the apex of talent plus timing plus trust. Fastest to 300, and he did it while the game was still in the balance. That's organizing principle stuff. Greatness appearing on schedule, not just in comeback chaos. Hollywood's takeover sequences. When a receiver is having a night, the broadcast tone shifts. Every pre-snap shot lingers a little longer. He bent zones, won leverage outside, and gave Mahomes answers the moment the ball was snapped. Stacked out with Rice's return window, and suddenly defensive coordinators aren't sleeping well. The defense's second-half composure. Detroit came in with reputation and rhythm. Kansas City walked them into late-down traps. The sock from Omenihu didn't just end a play. It ended a phase of Detroit's confidence. Those are the snaps that build a unit's swagger brick by brick. No penalties. Say it again, 0. That is the drumbeat of a mature team deciding to change its own narrative in real time. It's a small line in a box score that screams discipline, detail, and buy-in. And the post-game moral contrast. One team winning clean, one player losing control. The league notices. So does every roster that has to come to Arrowhead later. Respect isn't a word, it's a temperature. It rose for Kansas City last night. So what does it all mean? It means the Chiefs just put a new cut of tape into the league's bloodstream. Efficient offense, intentional defense, clean football, playmakers in rhythm, reinforcements on deck, and a quarterback who reaches history while still finding edges to sharpen. That is the formula. That is the reminder. That is the team nobody wants to draw when the weather turns. I'll leave you with this. Swagger is not a dance, it's a diagnosis. You either have the underlying health or you don't. Last night, Kansas City didn't just dance, they passed every vital check you could ask for. The cough is gone, the stride is back, the eyes are bright, the room is loud again. If you're part of this kingdom, if you felt that flip from doubt to conviction, talk to me. What was the moment for you? The milestone ball to Ain't You Worthy? Hollywood cooking on the outside? The defense standing tall? Or was it the image of Mahomes stepping into chaos to pull his guys apart and keep his brothers safe? Drop your take in the comments and tell me what this win says about who the Chiefs are right now. Hammer that like if you believe the kingdom just turned the corner. Smash subscribe so you don't miss the ride as Rashee Rice re-enters this receiver room and the offense hits its next gear before the Raiders. This is Chiefs Kingdom Report. We rise, we roar, we reign.